The old familiar Park Street, today so unfamiliar. Look at the scene to my right. A huge tree has fallen over here, and these two young men, possibly from the municipal corporation, are trying to rescue this huge electric pole that has fallen over here. The iconic Park Street looking like a battle zone. There are trees on my left and trees on my right as well. And I am now going to turn around, and there you'll see trees behind me too. And don't miss the lamppost hanging there by the skin of its teeth. The Flurry's signboards seem up and in good shape, and a few shoppers are here at this store. What do you think? Park Street is looking like a war zone right now.
Absolutely, never seen anything like this ever in our life. We knew it's going to be a severe one, but we had just gone around a bit. I've never seen so many uprooted trees, lampposts all down.
It's a natural disaster. It was not expected at this level, but now there's a lesson to be learned from all this.
Yeah. Couple of days, I think we'll be back on track.
Yeah.
Because between the corona and this, we have to.
Good to believe that the city, at least Park Street, will return to normal sooner rather than later. But Cyclone Amphan has certainly made sure that things will never be the same again, or at least not for a very long time. On Park Street with GD Shankar, Monideepa Banerjee, NDTV. Who better than take this forward than Mr. Anthony Khatchaturian? Anthony to friends. Anthony used to be in the Scotland Yard in London, but has returned to Kolkata to do heritage tours of the city, which are the talk of the town, the rave of the town. I believe a ghost tour is one of the most popular. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us. And tell me, will the city survive what has happened last night? You saw Park Street. You've seen pictures of the rest of Kolkata. Why Kolkata? The rest of southern Bengal. Are we going to survive this?
We definitely will. But the question we need to ask ourselves is, how prepared are we? Even without a cyclone, trees topple over, lampposts come down. Without the monsoons, bikers on the Mar flyover get tangled up in kite-flying strings. We have overhead cables collapsing all the time. So this is nothing new. We will survive this, but it's about our preparedness. We've had Fanny come and flirt with us. We had Bulbul come and flirt with us. This time, Amphan came and visited us for real. So we've had warnings. We know what our problems are. These horrific scenes of lampposts and trees all over Park Street, indeed all over the city, if not all over the state, these are nothing new. We should have known this was going to happen. But I'm just really surprised that we've come to the point where it's happened. Now we're panicking, and now we're wondering what to do. And as you quite rightly asked, will we recover? We should have seen this coming.
Right, Anthony. True, we should have seen this coming, and I will say that there did appear to be a huge effort by the government to sort of confront the situation, but perhaps, there was just not enough possible to do. Joining us, Jayanta Sengupta. He's the curator of Victoria Memorial, very much part of the city, and it's a city I'm sure he loves as much as I do, certainly. Mr. Sengupta, thank you for joining us, and tell me what happened last night. We did have warnings. The weathermen warned us it was going to be 135 kilometers an hour. Did you expect this kind of devastation? And the second question I'll ask you is this the first time Kolkata has faced something like this? What do your history books say?
To answer your first question first, this was, we saw it coming. This was in the news for more than a week, and we were expecting it to come and lash at us. And the wind speed was actually announced to hit about 130, 140 in Kolkata, and I know that it touched 133. But these were all figures while we heard them. But to see it happening, and when it came, it was really, really scary. I have seen this city for nearly 50 years now, and I haven't seen anything like this. That I can say. And through all my friends and colleagues whom we got in touch with great difficulty, because the utilities are down, power is off till late in the morning in several places. But whoever I managed to connect had had a whole range of problems like flooding, flash floods, water seepage through their windows, broken glasses, and the carnage was something that we perhaps expected, but we didn't quite expect the contours that it eventually took. It had to be experienced in order to be realized. So that's one. Secondly, there are huge storms and cyclones in history which have hit Bengal over the years. But in my memory, I have spoken with quite a few who are older than me. For a couple of generations, this is a storm that hit us with the maximum amount of force. Something like this we haven't ever seen in our lifetime. And I speak for people who are in their late 60s. So this is really this was definitely unprecedented insofar as the wind speed and the force and the carnage. Yes.
On Google, if you check, apparently Kolkata's worst cyclone, and it's called the Calcutta cyclone, was back in 1937 when none of us were around, and 3,000 people got killed apparently in the cyclone that rushed up the Ganges, the Hooghly River. Anthony, we learn from history, but 1737 is a long way off. However, we've had the super cyclone of 1999, the Bulbul of 2019, and Ayla of 2009. Yet, do you think we have learned enough? Is it possible to actually avert the kind of disaster we saw last night?
I'm not sure about avert, but we can definitely mitigate. I mean, at any time you take a walk down any of our beautiful streets, it doesn't take an expert to have a look at any of our trees and recognize that most of them look a bit wobbly. At the best of times, they look like they're going to fall over. If you remember, it was quite recently that the National Green Tribunal had to get involved and order the state government to remove those horrible concrete bases that are at the bottom of these trees. Our lampposts, our overhead wires have always been a bane. I've been back in India now since 2013, and it's almost a monthly headline where somebody's promising that they will take them down. Bobby Hakeem has come along with gusto that, yes, we will get them all removed. They started in certain places, it stopped again. So there are certain things we can do to mitigate these kind of things happening, but we don't seem to go about it aggressively. You quite rightly listed a couple of them, Fanny, Bulbul, Ike. We've seen Katrina in the US. We've seen forces across the world, especially in Western countries, being deployed before it hits. I mean, for example, Jayanta was quite rightly talking about preparation here in my complex, Urbana, near Ruby. We've been preparing for the last week, removing garbage bins, removing chess sets, locking everything down, getting cars off our roads. We've braced ourselves well for this, but I didn't see that kind of preparation in Calcutta till about 12 hours before, when Kolkata police was running around miking and asking people to shut down their shops and whatnot. We should have started locking down, battening down the hatches about a week ago. We knew it was either going to miss us very narrowly or slam straight into us. We should have started preparing a while ago for this.
This hindsight is always 2020, and you mentioned the word lockdown, and that's what we've been in. That's the condition we've been in for the last nearly 2 months. So despite that lockdown situation, Jayanta, what could we have done better, do you think, to have averted or minimized the impact of this carnage, the word that you used for the cyclone?
I'm not sure. I am of the opinion that the lockdown situation, which meant that the roads were deserted anyway, on its own mitigated some of the worst effects of the storm. And some of the major the arterial roads and flyovers were blocked
Do I thank
from
the
vehicular
guests?
traffic. Hello, sorry. Hello, can you hear me?
That's right. Go ahead, Mrs. Sengupta. Yes, perfectly. Just go ahead.
Yeah. So the lockdown situation meant that the possibly the worst effects of the cyclone on the people were somewhat mitigated in any case. And there were warnings. I think the government, as well as the civil society, there were several associations in apartment buildings which instructed its residents to to take precautions. So there were advisories going all around. I think the civic officials who were fighting two demons at the same time, they were already overworked. The resources were already overstretched because of the pandemic, and now the storm came, and I think I think these are things in which we can, of course, say a lot of things in retrospect. But when
Right.
when you are hit,
Right.
yeah, I think that I don't think there is much more that we could have done to mitigate the impact.
That's right, Jayanta, thank you so much for that insight. And Anthony, we will continue this conversation after the show. Thank you so much for joining us. After a short break, my ground report from Central and North